Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm just going to do a really quick kind of tutorial. I'm not claiming this to be my idea or anything like that, but a few weeks ago I did a review of my envelope punch board from the We Are Memory Keepers. And following that, I had lots of people saying, oh, you know, envelopes aren't all it can make, you know, it can make all sorts of other things too. So I've been having a look around, and one of the things that it can make are mason jars, and they're just so cute. So I have started having a little bit of a play around, and I thought, well, I might as well just come on and switch the camera on and kind of do, you know, a play around with you guys. So that's what I thought, you know, I'd get on and do today, really. So as I say, not my idea, and there are loads of other videos that I'm sure, you know, maybe are a lot, you know, better than mine really. But, you know, I just thought I'd come along and kind of have a play and show you, you know, what I've come up with myself. So obviously I've made this one as a kind of draft just to kind of show you guys. And what we'll do is get cracking and show you, you know, how to make one of your own. So what I've got here is basically, it was actually a 12 by 12, but I had cut it down to approximately an A4 sheet. So what I found worked best, because I've made quite a few, obviously kind of playing with measurements and seeing what what I liked best. So I found this particular kind of height, so, you know, kind of the height of an A4 sheet of paper, which is kind of the 8.5 approximate kind of inches, and then cut it approximately for 4.5 inches kind of in width. So obviously this paper is quite nice to use because it's gingham. I can just kind of cut approximately along the gingham edge. So I'm just going to move my kind of other jar out of the way, and we'll just kind of get cracking kind of doing this. So what you've got here is obviously your, you know, kind of thinnish, narrowish piece of card. So if you take your envelope punch board, and again, I did say last time that, you know, one of my irritating things about the board, you know, although I was really pleased with it, I found these measurements very small, but thankfully, and thanks to all those people who commented, loads of tips on things to do. So lots of people had kind of suggested, you know, obviously on their website that they have these measurements of the card sizes that you want to make on their website, obviously bigger. A couple of people had suggested the app, which I did download. Unfortunately, it didn't seem to work for me, and there were very mixed reviews. Some people saying it did work and some people saying it didn't. Sadly, it worked the first time, and I thought, oh, this is amazing. And then when I've been to, you know, try and use it since, obviously I have given up now, so perhaps I should give it another try, but it didn't seem to work then. But there is an app, and as I say, it has appeared that it does work for some people. But also another person suggested just take a photograph, obviously, of this section, and obviously then you can kind of expand the photograph on the iPad. So that's kind of at the moment, you know, what I'm doing. But we don't need this for this particular tutorial. But just should you have one of these punch boards and you also find this a problem, then that's a kind of good tip that I found. Not my idea, but, you know, thank you so much to the person who suggested that. Right, so back with the tutorial that we actually are here for today. So what you want to do is do your first punch at approximately the 1/8, the 1 1/8 mark. So that's just this little mark here. So you just punch it there, turn it over, and obviously punch the other side. And then flip your piece of paper over. And what I went for, and I have actually written this with permanent marker on here so that I don't forget, is 2 1/4, which I found worked for me. You know, I'm not saying this is, you know, how to do it. I'm saying for me, I found this to be a size I really liked working with. So just take it to the 2 1/4 on obviously the other side. And now you've got this almost like a cracker shape, but obviously this end is smaller than this end. So if I move the punch board out of the way, obviously I've got these little bits now, just bin those. So then what you can do is obviously chop down here to make your lid. And as is always the case, because I'm filming, I'm not going to be able to get this really nice and neat. So there's your lid, and obviously, you know, for me that's a little bit high, so I might just trim that down a little bit. But I like to kind of start with it like that and see what I think. And then you can just fold your bottom bit up, which by a miracle I have actually got my bone folder here today. So I'm just going to fold that up there. So you've got a little pocket there, not packet, sorry, pocket at the back. And obviously at the front you've got your mason jar. So then you can go ahead and obviously, you know, if you want to chop it down, chop it down. If you want a bit more kind of on the top, leave it kind of a bit longer. You know, just kind of personal preference really. So for me that just looks perfect now. Let me check them in frame. Right. Now, what I quite liked doing on the ones that I have made so far is, if you watch my channel, you'll know that I love this buff coloured card. Really find it so, you know, useful for a whole variety of uses. And obviously for me, one of these uses is to pop a kind of lid onto my mason jar, because, you know, to me, kind of that buff colour, it's a bit like a kind of cork top that you would get possibly on a mason jar. So what I will do is literally just glue around here and then pop on, you know, my cork lid. And obviously if you had something that looked like the metal, you know, or you were quite artistic, then you might be able to kind of draw a kind of metal lid. For me, this just kind of worked nice and quickly, you know, and yeah, just seemed like a kind of easy, quick solution to get something looking, you know, similar to a cork lid. And then what you can do is obviously go ahead and chop it down. So I would just chop that like that. And there's your lid. So to me, that looks, you know, that looks like a lid. So, you know, that looks cool. And then obviously kind of, you know, if you watch my channel, you'll know that obviously my favourite thing is always decorating. So I thought we'll kind of decorate this up. So I have got a couple here ready to do. So this one, I thought what we could do is using possibly some of the images from my Christmas card kit. So I did bring a couple with me because, again, obviously I've bought a variety of things for this tutorial. It's now a case of they've all now kind of got buried underneath one another. So just bear with me for a couple of seconds while I just locate the kind of right things that I just want to use here for this tutorial. So I've got this one here, which I just thought, wow, looks awesome against the gingham. So I did remember to bring my corner rounder, which, you know, is a miracle that I remembered that. So I'm just going to round the corners off. Oops. Of my, oops. Just got all sorts of stuff now stuck in there. I seem to have an eyelet stuck in there for some reason. Right, just round the corners off so as it looks a bit more, you know, like a label that you would get on a jar. Like that. Sorry about the rustling. It's the carrier bag that I'm obviously using here for the rubbish. So before I get kind of gluing anything down, what I'm going to do is just ink lightly around the jar and then possibly around the image itself. So we'll just have a look. So I will ink slightly the you know, the cork lid just around the edge. So it looks kind of nice like that. And around then the gingham itself. Like that. And then obviously, because we've got a pocket going on the back, I'll just ink up the back as well. I mean, obviously you wouldn't have to do these with a pocket, and if you didn't want to do them with a pocket, then obviously you could just adjust your you know, measurement by the 4 1/4 inches, take it down before you cut it, or just obviously snip it off there and not bother with the you know, the fold up flap, because then you could actually use it as a pocket on a page rather than, oops, a kind of pull out item. You know, if you didn't have the kind of bit at the back, you could actually kind of use that as a little pocket on a page. So, you know, either way really is kind of, you know, perfectly fine. So I've just got that. I might just quickly ink up around the edges here. I doubt it will really show because obviously this is quite dark green. So, and this is just one of my little pieces from my Christmas card kit. Oh, it just looked really nice and festive there. And then to decorate that up, I have brought along a couple of kind of different pieces. You know, for me, because it's a kind of jar, it should have a little label somewhere. So we could have a little label down here at the bottom. Or I've got these little labels here, which if I just quickly cut one out. Now, just quickly, I should have really cut these obviously first, but I didn't know kind of which elements I was necessarily going to be using. So pardon me for, you know, having to kind of do this quickly now. Just obviously doing quite a quick job of it, not taking too long, hopefully. So just again, ink that up so it looks nice and in keeping. I will just ink up this one in case I decide to go with this and use that instead. So we'll just kind of have a look and see which looks better. So if I were to have that there, and obviously we could mat, you know, the Christmas image. I'm not sure that I've actually got anything really to mat it with here because I bought very limited supplies today. I didn't want to be kind of bringing everything with me like I often do, so we'll have a look. So we could have it kind of like this, or we could obviously have the little ticket there. I mean, the ticket's kind of nice because the green does add a bit of, you know, colour to this, which is rather nice, isn't it? I think we'll just go with that. So obviously if I did have something to actually kind of back this with, I would probably layer the this piece up, because obviously it's not that big on the mason jar itself, but you know, I haven't got kind of anything suitable, so I will just go ahead and kind of pop that down. I'm just going to pop it slightly higher than kind of, you know, central. And when I say central, I mean by eye. I'm not obviously measuring it, so I mean it might not look very central to you guys anyway. But I've just popped it slightly higher so that I can obviously have the label for the jar down the bottom there. And then I'll just have a look, because I thought I had a little red flower. So we could have a little red flower there, which is kind of nice, isn't it? So I will just and actually I'm going to hot glue this ticket on because or the label, because now I've obviously got the two different kind of heights there, because obviously I've got that image, so just so as it glues nice and quickly. And the label's just one of my little tickets from my Gypsy Rose kit, so that's kind of all that is. I do love gingham, I must say. And we could have a little button in there. So that looks kind of quite pretty. And then what we could do is obviously just have a bit of kind of crochet trim going across the top. And obviously, so I'm just going to glue the flower down. Like that. And I quite like it with that button. I will just have a look through my little tin that I like to bring with me for these process videos, just to make sure that I haven't got anything I would prefer to use. I have got some kind of gems here. Oh, and I have got these red bows, which are really nice and festive, aren't they? Oh, and I forgot that I've got those sparkly butterflies from where we did some of the Christmas cards. So I might have to use that as well. Yeah, I think I've got some kind of red, that might be a better button. Some red large kind of gems, which maybe might be nice, but they may be kind of a bit too kind of in your face, you know, for this project, because everything else is quite subtle on the card. That maybe is just going to be a little bit too much. So let's have a look. So depending on how we want that, whether we want the lace trim at the top, no, don't like it at the top there, or kind of hanging down a bit over the jar. Probably in the centre, I quite like it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of distress ink the lace trim a little bit. And this is that gorgeous lace trim that Laura gifted me a whole load of the other day, so I am really loving using it. I love this lace trim, and look at how lovely it is when it's inked up. It just inks up amazingly well. So what I'll do is I will just wet glue that down along just the centre of, you know, what we're calling kind of our fake cork lid for the jar. So that is really pretty. And then we'll just decide kind of what to have around here. So we could have a little butterfly. Oops, could have a little. Now, do we think the gem is a little bit bright and a bit kind of modern? Definitely that flower one is, so move that out of the way. Got this massive button, that's maybe a bit too big. Could have that big button there, I suppose, actually. Might be kind of nice. I've got out one of those little bulb pins, so I'll just cut that off. And I'm just going to trim down this edge that was kind of a little bit tatty, so that looks a bit neater. I've got a little bulb pin because, as you can see here, what I think is quite fun to do is just cut down a little kind of tag, and then all I'm going to do is kind of eyeball, you know, just a tag shaped piece in the buff coloured card. And then obviously, you know, if you were giving this as a gift, you could write, you know, who it's to, who it's from, you know, or if it was in a journal or anything, you could obviously pop something cute on there, a place name or a date or an event, or, you know, kind of whatever you like, obviously. So I'm just going to ink this up a little bit. Like that. Oops. And I will just ink both sides of it, because obviously it's going to just be on a bulb pin, so you know, you could technically see either side of it, if you see what I mean. So I'll just move that to one side. Let me just get my pokey tool thing. So if I just kind of pop a hole, you know, just roughly in the centre, it doesn't have to be perfect, but just roughly there. And then, I mean, what you could do, you could kind of stamp a little bit of script stamp or something like that on this little tag piece as well, if you wanted. I'm not going to, because I think it's quite nice to leave it blank for, you know, completely blank for journaling. But if you wanted to add a little bit more to it, then you could. So I think that's rather nice. I'm going to trim that tag down a little bit because it's a little bit too big. There we go. That just looks a bit better to me. So we've got that like that, and then now where did that glittery butterfly go? Oh, Laura, if you're watching, please tell me where it's gone. The reason I say that is because if you watched a few weeks ago, I had lost something that day. And then in the comments below, when I'd obviously published the video, I had to chuckle because Laura said, oh, I saw where that, I can't remember now what it was, but you know, whatever it was. Oh, I saw that drop or slide under something. I found the butterfly. So it just made me chuckle, and I thought, now I quite like that butterfly on there. So although I said I was going to keep that blank for journaling, I'm going to pop it quite near the top. So hopefully it wouldn't be in the way and you could still journal there. And obviously you could still journal underneath it anyway, you know, kind of to put somebody's name or, you know, however you wanted to do it. So super cute. Now here I've got obviously these two buttons. And I've got obviously this lovely bow. Love polka dot. Love polka dot and love gingham. So, oh, that looks so pretty, doesn't it? I mean, really, that flower, I suppose, doesn't really even need anything in it. But it's kind of nice to have something in it, isn't it? So I'm just going to hot glue this little bow down. Just going to put it roughly centre on the top of the little image there. Oh, that looks so sweet. And then still debating to have the button or not to have the button. It's such a decision, isn't it? Well, or I guess we could have the gem now. I might have the gem, even though I said not to originally. I might do, because now we've got the sparkly butterfly. It's obviously more more blingy than it had originally started out. So, I mean, I think that looks so pretty now. And then obviously on the back, what we can do is pop this up as a pocket. And then it's up to you really whether you decorate this side or not. I'm kind of thinking I don't want to bulk it out too much because I haven't decided what to do with this little jar yet. I might make a little Christmas journal and obviously pop this in which case I don't want to have it too bulky because, you know, obviously if it was in a journal I wouldn't really want it too bulky. But so what I might do is just literally pop on a piece of lace the other side, just so as it ties in, you know, just so as it's kind of matching what's on the front, if you see what I mean. So I'm just going to literally, again, just dab some glue there. Like that. Cut that off. And then, obviously what we'll do is just glue up the sides of the pocket. Like that. So I'll just press that down. Just pressing it from the front because obviously I have got these pieces here. So I didn't want to kind of disturb this gem because obviously it's still gluing. Because I did just glue that with the wet glue, so that's why I'm doing that really. So I mean, I think that looks so sweet. And then what I've done is to just brought along literally another one of the pieces from my little Christmas card printable pack, and I'm just going to literally ink that up. I'm just going to pop it in there as a little journaling card. I mean, obviously this would be a really cool way if you were just giving someone a gift voucher or something. I know that's a really unimaginative present, but sometimes that's kind of all I can kind of think to do for some people. So, you know, if you were giving a kind of gift card or something for a shop, you could just pop that in the back and, you know, what a nice way to gift that. So I love how that's turned out. I think it's just really, really, really pretty. And I just think you could have such a lot of fun with these mason jars. So, you know, I hope that you give some a go. I'm going to make a few more because I really think they're really fun. yeah, and let me know what you think below. Thank you very much everyone for suggesting that I had a look around for obviously other things to do with my envelope punch board, because I would never in a million years have thought that you could make these gorgeous cute mason jars. So yeah, I hope that you like them, and thanks very much. Thanks for watching. Bye.